The issues that we look to tackle together, from energy security, from the energy transition that you're helping to lead, to the future of artificial intelligence, to the fight that we have against transnational repression, against terrorism, against other factors, and the work that we can do together. And it is my great honor to have you here.
Welcome to Khanversations. I'm Muqtedar Khan, your host, and today I'm going to talk to you about the improvement and rapprochement between India and Canada. India and Canada have reset their foreign relations. Both the countries have agreed to send ambassadors to each other. Because both are members of the Commonwealth, the ambassadors to each other are usually referred to as high commissioners. So Canada will send a high commissioner to India, and India will send a high commissioner to Canada. As you all recall, the relationship had deteriorated significantly since 2024 when Canada had accused India of killing a Sikh activist whom India labeled as a Khalistani terrorist, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And then everybody knows what happened. Things got really bad, and ultimately ambassadors were withdrawn, and both the countries have accused each other of violating sovereignty, etc. And then, of course, Trudeau, who was then the Prime Minister of Canada, resigned as Prime Minister, and a new Prime Minister, Carney, was elected. Carney invited Prime Minister Modi to the G7 summit, which Canada is hosting. And on the sidelines of the summit, there was a bilateral meeting in which both countries agreed to reset their relations, improve their essentially cooperation in the area of energy, artificial intelligence, education, etc. But what is interesting is that it was very clear that there is a lot of opposition in Canada, not only from the Sikh community and supporters of Khalistan in Canada, but also from others who are demanding that Canada respects human rights and have accused India of what they call as transnational repression.
The issues that we look to tackle together, from energy security, from the energy transition that you're helping to lead, to the future of artificial intelligence, to the fight that we have against transnational repression, against terrorism, against other factors, and the work that we can do together. And it is my great honor to have you here.
Which means that India is committing acts of violence in a foreign country against foreign citizens. But what is interesting is that when Carney was asked these questions as to why he had invited Modi to the G7 summit, India is not a member of G7, but the presidents or the presidents who are hosting the G summit have some freedom to invite other members, such as, for example, Carney invited the president of Mexico, invited Lula, the president of Brazil. He also invited Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, who declined to come, by the way. And he also invited other guests that he would like to host in his country, such as the president of South Korea. But when he was asked why he invited Prime Minister Modi, he said that India is an important country, it's the fifth biggest economy, it is critical for supply chain. And he also said that India had agreed to cooperate with Canada on the issue of rule of law and fighting transnational repression and terrorism. So what he actually told the Canadians when asked this question, that India had changed its position and was now willing to cooperate with Canada on the investigation with regards to Hardeep Singh Nijjar's assassination. India had denied this from the very beginning and called it absurd, but eventually India's position was a bit weakened after the Americans caught and extradited and locked up Nikhil Gupta, who was also accused of coordinating similar activities in the United States, trying to kill another Khalistani supporter, Gurpatwant Singh Pannu. These people are wanted as terrorists in India. India's National Intelligence Agency lists them as wanted terrorists. But since they have not committed crimes either in the US and Canada, and the US and Canada have not accepted India's claim that they are terrorists, these people enjoy a lot of freedom and basically organize activities which are clearly detrimental to India's territorial integrity, such as holding referendums for secession, for the creation of Khalistan, an independent Sikh state in the Indian state of Punjab, and so on. So in the meeting and in the video that you saw, it was very interesting to see that Prime Minister Modi praises the importance of India-Canada relations and talks about future cooperation, but does not talk about anything about India's initial reasons for getting angry with Canada, which was one, that Canada provides safe haven to Khalistani terrorists. India supports Khalistani terrorists. Canada supports Khalistani terrorists. Canada takes positions against India because of the political clout of Khalistanis in Canada, and so on and so forth. So India is very upset by how Canada refuses to marginalize and even pursue Sikh extremists in Canada. And also, there's a list of people that India would like to see extradited from Canada to India, and Canada has not cooperated at all. Prime Minister Modi didn't make any of those demands, neither before the invitation nor now. So it was very clear that India is not raising any of the issues with Canada. But in the meeting, face to face, if you listen carefully, I'm going to play that video again for you. Carney very clearly says that we are going to cooperate on issues of terrorism and transnational repression. Transnational repression is what India is accused of. Killing Canadian citizens on Canadian soil. That is Hardeep Singh Nijjar. That is transnational repression. There was a hearing in the US Senate on India and transnational repression when all of this thing was discussed in the US Senate. If you recall, last year I actually did a show on that. So it is very interesting to see that Canadian Prime Minister, who is reaching out to India, is under pressure domestically, raises the issue on the face of Modi about transnational repression and says that we are going to cooperate on this. But Modi does not raise any issue of Khalistanis, separatism, Canada's support for terrorism, Canada's becoming a safe haven for Khalistani terrorists, Canada refusing to extradite several Khalistanis and terrorists who are wanted in India for committing terrorist acts in India, any such thing. And to me, that was very surprising. It appears to me that Prime Minister Modi has made concessions to Canada, 2 concessions, in order to get an invitation to G7. One concession was basically not raising this issue of Canada's support for Khalistan movement. And number 2, he also made this concession of agreeing to cooperate with Canada on this issue of law and order, or basically investigating the role of India in the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canada has intelligence and some evidence that India was involved in killing Nijjar. They do not have enough evidence to make a case of it. So you can have intelligence, like for example, I could have a satellite image of you doing something in your country, and you could be doing something that is threatening to me. But if I want to file a case against you, I might not have the evidence to prove in a court of law. So that's Canada's problem. And for the last 2 years, it has been asking India's cooperation into bridging that gap between intelligence and evidence that they can use to prosecute Indians, which is quite interesting, isn't it? So I think India has made 2 concessions to Canada to improve India-Canada relations. And maybe Carney is saying these things for his domestic consumption and invoking the term of transnational repression, but it is possible that he might have privately made some assurances to Prime Minister Modi saying, don't worry, we will not pursue this any further. But regardless of what has happened behind the scenes, I can tell you this much, that in front of cameras, it's very clear that India has not made any demands of Canada. made two concessions to Canada. But the good thing is that US India Canada relations have been reset. They are exchanging ambassadors, and hopefully things will get better with regards to visa processing and people to people relations. Canada relies heavily on Indian students and temporary Indian workers, especially in the tech industry. And India also relies a lot on Canadian investments, and a lot of Canadian retirement funds in the excess of, I think, $15 billion are invested in India, and also investments by Canadian companies. Modi actually mentioned that there are so many Canadian companies in India. So anyway, that's some good news coming out of the G7 summit, that India and Canada have reset their foreign relations. So thank you for watching Conversations. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share this video with your socio-political network. I will be talking a bit more about this with one of India's distinguished former ambassadors, Ambassador Dr. Ketan Shukla, and that will be uploaded in a few hours. So do come back to listen to his views and his assessment of what happened in G7 and what is happening in the Middle East with Israel and Iran and the United States' role in that war, the changing whimsical role of United States and Donald Trump in the Israel-Iran war. So take care. Until next time, I'm your host, Muqtedar Khan. Bye.